So when we think about addiction, we often imagine an attachment to something external. Maybe it's a substance or a behavior that helps us to feel better or different or somehow in control. But there's another kind of addiction, one that turns inward. It's an addiction to self. This isn't just about clinging to who we think we are, right? It's also about the deals we make with ourselves to keep this notion of self intact. We may say to ourselves, I don't need to let go completely. Maybe I can just adjust it a little, just polish it, suppress the bad traits, or cling to the good ones. And we negotiate endlessly, unwilling to truly let go. Dōgen once said, to study the self is to forget the self. What's interesting is that Dōgen doesn't talk about any form of active suppression here. Instead, he's inviting us to look deeply into the voices that are in our heads, the judgments, the labels, the stories, and to see their motivations clearly. This requires a willingness to face even the most uncomfortable truths, to imagine everything and examine it closely that drives the self without turning away. When we do this, the small self doesn't need to be forcibly dropped. It dissolves naturally because we recognize that it's not who we truly are. But as long as we cling to some parts or certain parts of that self, that constructed story, whether they seem good or bad, we perpetuate this delusion. We remain caught in cycles of attachment and avoidance. And this makes us unable to see our true nature. It makes what is right in front of us hazy and unclear. To see your true nature, you have to first fully acknowledge the small self for what it is. This means appreciating even its harsher aspects, not to dwell on them, but to understand their origins. Only then can we take a step back and recognize that this is not where we truly abide. Today, take a moment to observe. Take a moment to observe these judgments, these labels, and how they influence your decisions, how they stop you from seeing clearly what's right in front of you. Don't just look at the ones you think are kind or benevolent. Look in particular at the ones that are critical, harsh, or self-serving, not just of others, but of yourself. See them clearly and allow them to simply be. When you do this, you're going to find that these judgments drop away on their own. And what remains is the wonder of your daily experience, of what's right in front of you, unfiltered by the stories, judgments, labels, and instincts that we so often see in the foreground and miss the depth of our true lived experience. In that space, you're actualized by what is present, and your true nature shines through completely.